So you might be wondering, now that you've decided that you're really going to take the next step forward and produce a product for sale for your future customers, what kind of product should you produce? Should you produce an ebook? Should you produce a hardback book, a softback book? Should you produce an e-course with training videos? Should you produce a teleseminar, if you even know what that is, a live event with many of the other coaches that you've seen or maybe who've served you over the years, a home study course? How do you decide what you're going to produce and how? Well, there are a couple of variables to consider. Let's start with the most basic one and the one that may be the most painful to admit. 1, you need to know yourself. Are you super techy? Do you have crazy camera presence? Are you comfortable speaking in huge rooms of people? What are your natural skills? Once you figure that out, you can rule certain things out off the break. For example, if you know nothing about the web, is it a really good idea for your first product to be some super labor-intensive membership site with lots of pages and uploads and crazy things? No, of course not. This is your first product. Make it easy on yourself. If you do not know how to use something, don't go there. That doesn't need to be your first product. The second thing to consider is, where are your natural gifts? I'm an amazing public speaker. I am not, on the other hand, an amazing data entry or administrative person. I'm just not. And so I wouldn't create a product that allowed me to be in an area of weakness for an extended period of time. If it required me to code a website, for example, where there's a crazy attention to detail and technical skill set needed, I'm not the one. I'm just not. I know that about myself. And so I would never create a product that was antithetical to who I am, because then I'm not going to be able to do it to a high degree of excellence. And that's going to be really important to getting my customers to come back and to receive the most from what I have to offer. And so you want to be really honest about where your natural strengths and abilities lie and tap into those strengths in that product if at all possible. So, for example, I know that I'm an amazing writer, so I might produce an ebook, or I might produce a soft copy book, although honestly, I haven't found those to be tremendously useful for my clients. So you would just need to think through, do you really want to handle the distribution of a hard copy book? Is that worth it? Is the ROI worth it for you? And is the time it's going to take to write a 150-page book worth it for your first product? Not saying never, just wondering if that's the first thing you should be working on. Another thought is, how reputable are you in the marketplace where you are? If you've been coaching people offline for years, if you have a faithful fan base of paying customers, 100 to 200 paying customers, then maybe you want to actually start with a pretty high-end product. Something like an e-course or a group coaching course that's much more high-end, because you know your folks can pay that. On the other hand, if you've never coached a soul, you may want to start with a lower tier product, a $19 product, a $25 product, just to sort of get people in the door. You may decide that you want your first 3 products to be pretty inexpensive and then to scale it from there, because you're trying to build a membership base. And so depending on what your business goals are and depending on your reputation in your industry, you may want to make your choice around the product that you start with conducive to the audience that you currently have. Lastly, you want to think about your business model and your service delivery model, like how you think that the information you have is best delivered to people. If you know that what you're teaching needs to be delivered face-to-face, or at least in a video format, then creating an ebook is almost a moot point, right? Let's say you're trying to teach dating tips and how to have a confident handshake. I don't know what it is, but let's say that's it. You can talk about that in an ebook, sure, but let's be honest. Are you going to come across as well in an ebook as you might in a video, or as you might in an in-person live event on a stage? Definitely not. So when you think about your product and your customer and your service delivery model as part of delivering that value to your customer, think about the medium that would be most helpful to them in receiving that content. Now, before this video is over, and it's a short training video, I want to give you a laundry list of the different kinds of products that you can create as your first product. It's not going to be exhaustive, but it will be something to think about as you move forward and make those decisions about what your first product will be. Again, our goal here is to get you to your first product. This is not your $1 million launch product. Most of the people who do $1 million launches now, they didn't start that way. They started in their basement, in their homes. They started doing one-on-one coaching. Their first product was not as high-end as the products they sell now. So just keep that in mind. A lot of the people who were paying to train us have been out of our shoes for at least 5 to 10 years. And so you want to just be thoughtful that although they do have your best interests at heart, they aren't where you are, and it's been a while since they've been there. And the customers that they help one-on-one nowadays are not you. There are people who can pay $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 an hour for them to work with them. And so just keep that in mind. Don't try to replicate blindly what they recommend if that's not relevant to where you are. Okay, so let's start with the written word. So you have ebooks, you have white papers, you have downloadable infographics. You have any sort of manual or resource that can be written and printed, written and bound in like a binder, or even produced electronically and turned into PDFs. And those can be delivered in several ways. You can deliver them at live events if you're selling books or manuals or binders or workbooks or anything like that at a table. You can deliver them online via an e-procurement site that lets your customers buy things and then you sort of print and ship on demand. You can deliver them electronically in the case of PDF, so that when a customer checks out and pays for your PDF, it's delivered to their inbox automatically. Any of those are great options for an initial product. If you're thinking about an ebook, depending on the cost of that ebook, you probably want it to be between 30 and 100 pages. Anything longer than that, and they probably won't get the value from it. And truthfully, you could have made it 2 or 3 ebooks at the price you will likely charge. After the written word, there are several other mediums for you. There's the spoken word, right? And that would be audio programs, teleseminars, Camtasia presentations where you have, a PowerPoint presentation or a Prezi presentation, but then you put audio to it. Any sort of call-in to listen to a pre-recorded message type of deal where people are getting information from you and you are saying it yourself. An audiobook is also a great example of this. All of those are products where you're using your voice to deliver a message or information to people. And they're all great initial products for people. They're also great add-ins if you choose for the bread and butter of your product to be a digital written product. You can always add in an audio component if you want to raise the value of it. Again, you want to simplify for your first product, and so I would recommend that for your very first product you stick to either print, written word, or spoken word products, just for that first launch, because they're a little bit easier to handle. If you want to be bold and daring, or if you have a little more experience in this realm, another way that you can do it is in-person products that are a combination of, spoken word, written word, and then the expression of you being there. That might be a video course, or it might be an in-person live event, or it may be some hybrid program where there's a video component and an audio component and digital downloads. Any of these products are suitable for a first launch, but as I mentioned, video brings with it a whole nother realm of complexity. It doesn't mean that it's not good for a first product. It just means that it requires something else of you that audio and digital products do not. And so just think about that. Think about what you have the capacity to put together as you make up and deliver your first product to customers. In terms of the value chain, ebooks can go from anywhere to like free or like $5, $9, $20 up to $100, depending on what the ebook is, who's selling it, and the reputation they have in the market. There are some ebooks that are charging even higher than $100. I haven't seen many, but when people are really reputed in their field and they have very specific content expertise, they can go ahead and charge whatever they want because people desperately desire their stuff. The audio programs can go anywhere from $49 through thousands of dollars, depending on how they run, your reputation, your place in the marketplace. And so when you're creating an audio program, you just want to think about where you fit with your competitors and what is reasonable for your customer, and then also how much value at this phase in the pipeline can you add to your customer. Is there stuff you still need to learn before you can charge $2,000 for an audio? Or have you been doing this business long enough that the content that you are giving really is worth $499? And so when you're pricing anywhere between that $50 to $2,000 is present in the field. For your initial product, my recommendation would be to keep it under $99, particularly because you may or may not already have a presence in this space. And so if you don't have a presence, keeping it closer to $49, I would even imagine would be more reasonable. Just because people don't know you and they're taking a gamble, you don't want to make it a harder jump than it needs to be. And of course, this is your first product. You can change it later, you can charge more later, but right now, you're just concerned with creating your product and selling it. Lastly, in terms of the live events and video training courses, those run the gamut. They can be from $99 all the way up to thousands and thousands of dollars. In-person or phone coaching types of products where you're really giving of yourself and your time can run that same gamut. And so, again, it has to do with where you are in the marketplace, how people view you, what you personally believe your content is worth, and what your customers agree to pay. But that's the full gamut of what's possible there. I hope this was helpful to you. So again, to reiterate, 3 types of products you can create: written word, spoken word, and a combination with the written and the spoken with the added element of you, whether that's through a video training course or an in-person event. They span the gamut in terms of their pricing, and they go from least complex to most complex. So depending on what you have the appetite for at this point in your journey, choose one of those, and most importantly, get it done. If you need help along the way, that's why we're here. We're doing a 4-hour product build at a location in DC later in the month of April. If you want to be a part of that, go ahead, sign up for our email list, and you'll hear more about it. Thanks. Bye.